This is the Danger Close podcast, Beyond the Books with me, Jack Carr. I'm so excited to announce that Navy Federal Credit Union is on board as the presenting sponsor of the Danger Close podcast. Now, you can find Navy Federal Credit Union at NavyFederal.org. That's the website, so go on and check that out. Get control of those finances here after the holidays if they've gotten a little bit out of control. They have multiple savings and investment options for you to check out there, and digital tools with educational resources to help guide those financial decisions. So NavyFederal.org, check them out. All right, first recording of the new year. Yep, this is the January 2022 video update. Awesome. All right, doing a little negative reviews and I talk about some gear, and then going to talk about the January reading list, which is quite robust. I don't feel like you need to read them all. Actually, it's not really a reading list. It's more of a look back at the podcast over this last year, over 2021, and all the authors that I had as guests. So, yeah, let's do this. All right. And first off, hats back on the website, and the old hats and these ones with the leather patch. So you can go to jackcarrusa.com, check those out right now. And if you enjoy the negative reviews, then feel free to jump on to Amazon and leave a review to counter some of these, because they are pretty funny. But it's kind of crazy that people take the time, energy, and effort to leave such negative things out there. And hey, that's just the way the world is. But let's have a little fun with it. How about that? What else can you do? Oh, you can order In the Blood, which is coming on May 31st. So you can pre-order that, and you can leave a 5-star review, and you can subscribe to the podcast on the Jack Carr YouTube channel or on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. All right, let's jump in here. What do we have? Okay, I was extremely torn in writing this review, but I've always tried to be honest and fair with all of my reviews. This one was difficult. I loved all 3 of Jack Carr's previous books. Hey, thanks. This one was way too over the top. Don't get me wrong. The Devil's Hand overall was a really good story. And Jack Carr has quickly become one of the best storytellers in the action thriller genre. But what really bothered me about this particular book was Carr's constant disparaging comments and right-wing political jabs throughout an otherwise well-written and superbly researched story. Too bad having a protagonist that has some views on freedom is looked at right-wing, or wanting to continue to be able to own firearms to protect yourself and your family, to preserve that gift of life and defend yourself from those who would take it from you. Too bad that's looked at as right wing, because it's just about freedom. All right, continuing. This book felt like it was written in an effort to own the libs. Not really, just have a protagonist with some opinions, like most people do have opinions. But if you want a protagonist without an opinion, I'd look elsewhere. All right, what else we have here? Way too in your face with the far right wing, capital C conservative politics for me this time. The story was really good. Thank you. Carr is extremely knowledgeable and an excellent researcher. I've always appreciated those thriller authors who can write nonpartisan political action thrillers without bashing either side in their storytelling. Well, I'm not going to tiptoe around and have protagonist that does not have views, or other characters that don't have personal views on things, no matter what they are. Anyway, thanks for the time. All right, what do we got here? Not a verified purchase. There's a lot of those 1-star not verified purchases. Here we go. Thriller is a hell of an overstatement. I didn't get far enough into this joke of a novel to find out. Well, that's just not nice. Recommended if you can't fall asleep without lovingly tucking an AR-15 between your thighs. Everyone else will do just fine to avoid. All right, fairly clever. Okay, here's another one. Not a verified purchase. Jack Carr takes a potentially successful action hero in James Reese, but the author needs to do a lot more if he has any desire to widen the reading appeal of this series. You mean suddenly have a protagonist that is fighting for gun control? Probably not going to happen. Do not read my next book. Warning, do not read it. You're not going to like it. Unless you like leaving 1-star non-verified purchases reviews that are negative, then I guess continue to leave those reviews. Okay. As now, the book is written for a relatively narrow audience of those conservative Americans who believe in U.S. supremacy. Not really sure that makes sense. But anyway, here we go. The story is as simple as they come. This is for the first book. The professional SEAL had his family as well as his entire battalion killed. Not a battalion, silly. Anyway, by a cohort of greedy politicians, corrupt top officials, Wall Street profiteers, a U.S.-hating Islamic mullah, and a group of Mexican gangsters. That sounds like a pretty solid lineup of bad guys to me, but I'm a little biased. All right, here we go. Actually, there are a couple attempts at balance in the hero's friendship with a Mexican and a contrived recollection of a time when the hero decided not to kill an Iraqi while on a mission where he could travel. Well, I'll let my friend Marco, the real one, know that he's just an attempt at balance. That might hurt his feelings, so I might not mention it to him. But he's an awesome guy, great at jiu-jitsu. All right, and the contrived recollection, well, that actually happened. So I changed the exact city where it happened. It happened in Najaf, and in the first book, I just put it in Fallujah. But that exact thing happened in real life. But since you confused a battalion, troop with a battalion, I'm guessing that probably none of the rest of the books are going to make sense to you anyway. So here we go. Another unverified purchase, 1 star. Here we go. Garbage. All right. At least you didn't take too much time being negative. Not a verified purchase. 1 star. Let's see. Great for warophiles. Warophile. I'm going to look that up. Definitely political and very zealously biased toward Republicans. And seriously, definitely anti-Democrat. Why is pro-freedom looked at as anti-Democrat? That might be the real question. Anyway, a rocking good read of modern warfare and revenge. So, and on a high note. So that was nice. Still 1 star and not a verified purchase. Well, here we go. Another unverified. Let's see. 1 star here. And it says too many technical details and a character whom the author clearly wishes were autobiographical. All right. 1 star. If you like your hero to be a sadistic killer, you'll like this book. A book about vengeance and macho gun-loving SEAL who kills everyone brutally? I found the hero sickening. Well, Kindle customer, you should not read my other novels. All right. Here, another one. 1 star. Amazon customer. Terrible. Best to stay away from this author. Well, thanks for your opinion. Okay, here we go. 1 star. The terminal list crashes my Kindle. 1 star because it crashes the Kindle. I downloaded the free sample and I was hooked. So I bought the whole book, even though it was more than I wanted to pay. But I'm not being allowed to read it. The terminal list crashes my Kindle app. Other books don't do that. Not even the free sample, just the terminal list. That I paid for. Yes, I completely deleted the Kindle app from my Windows Surface and downloaded a new Kindle app from Amazon, reloaded the terminal list, and it crashed again. I would insist on a refund from Amazon, but I don't want a refund. I want to read the book, and it won't let me. Oh, by the way, after reading the free sample, I am convinced that there's a deep state conspiracy to keep me and others like me from finding out the truth to be found in the terminal list. I think you might be onto something. It's possible. All right, here's another one. 1 star. I loved the first 3 books and was excited about this book. I couldn't finish it. I don't like politics in my books. Well, it is a political thriller. I use my books for an escape, not to read the author's views on politics. I even gave everyone a Democrat president, 10th Mountain Division, and I just couldn't make him anti-gun. I just couldn't bring myself to have a good president that was anti-gun. And I even cite one of the longest running congressmen in U.S. history who was a Democrat and who stood up for the Second Amendment. Anyway, but that gets lost in the details. Also, why put COVID in a book when we are living it every day? Well, I'm glad you asked that question because guess who's looking at our response and studying our response to COVID. Maybe the enemy? And are they taking, well, I don't know, maybe they're not. It's possible they're not. But the whole point of the book was to look at really what we've done on the battlefield for the last 20 years, how we acted in the Middle East on the ground, really from 1979 up to 2001, and what lessons did the enemy draw from the Beirut barracks bombing in 1983? What did they draw from Somalia, from Black Hawk Down in the 90s? And how did they incorporate those into their battle plans? And what are they doing with this? We leave Iraq, we leave Afghanistan. They're not just sitting there and not taking those lessons and applying them to future battle plans, as with COVID. So, and with everything else we have going on. So that was kind of the whole point of the book, is looking at the last 20 years for sure, and the last 40 years really, through the enemy's eyes. But anyway, that was a little long. If you didn't, I think it even says something like that in the flap of the book, the description of the book. So maybe read the description next time. Verified purchase though, so thanks. Okay, here we go. I tried to read it, but it's terrible. I bought this in April and I've been trying to read it since. Well, I mean, persistent. He has shown his political stripes. I read fiction to get away from politics. Maybe choose something other than a political thriller. I have read 4 other books since I ordered this one. All I could say is I tried. Well, I mean, you get points for trying, so thanks. Here we go. What else do we have here? The plot actually makes a reasonable amount of sense. Well, thank you. I do put a little bit of time into it. And all this really needed to be actually good was an editor willing to clean up the political nonsense. I get the author to tone down the technical weaponry talk. Yes, I'm sure serving and former members of the military would notice the accuracy, but neither they nor your average layperson really care what type of knife Reese used to gut someone, or which brand of ammunition he's loading his gun with. Well, try any other book then. All right, let's see what else. Oh, I got a tip here, I think. Military thrillers need to be apolitical. Thank you so much for that tip. It's not really a military thriller, it's a political thriller, but as the military itself is supposed to be. Well, perhaps it's not, which might kind of be written into the books. If the author is able to figure that out and find an editor who can pick out and help him remove his unconscious bias, perhaps it's not really that unconscious. From his writing, he might be able to come up with a readable book. 1 star. Disclaimer: I received a review copy of this title via NetGalley. Well, I'm not doing that again. All right. Unverified purchase. Here we go. Jack Carr has all the makings of a good thriller author. Well, thank you. His prose is solid. He's well-versed in tactics, military history, and technical jargon as a result of his time in the Navy. He does good research. He's got a great publisher and a great editor. The subject matter he writes about has a strong audience, and he understands his market. Okay, starting off pretty good here. But he injects too much of his own politics into his books. Man, if only I walked on eggshells. Let's see. Washington, D.C., the swamp. D.C. was not built on a swamp. Okay. It seems like an odd thing to get upset about, but you know what? It was built, I think, on and around 3 different rivers that would flood. So it got the nickname, the swamp, even back then, with ponds and little lakes and soft ground and stuff like that. So while not technically an actual swamp, it certainly is a figurative swamp, which is the whole point of calling it one. Okay. Giving credit to COVID hysteria when alluding to contact tracing and lockdowns, lamenting the state of Virginia losing its status as a solid red state. Is it coming back? I don't know. And spending inordinate amounts of time showing how terrorists in his books were leveraging strife and racial justice to further their own goals of harming the United States. Once again, that's the point of the book, is the enemy studying us and leveraging our weaknesses against us. But okay. Hopefully Carr realizes that he's boring readers with political discourse, and he stops trying to shoehorn politics into his books. Once again, political thriller. Third, Carr takes up 3 ways, too much of the reader's time with unnecessary details about gear. One example from his book is from chapter 20, where Carr literally cannot write about Reese drinking coffee without talking about the type of coffee and thermos that Carr, I think you mean James Reese, but okay, is using, as well as the coffee he'd rather be drinking from Black Rifle Coffee. Glad you brought it up. Yeah, unverified Amazon guy. That's great. That's a solid mug from Black Rifle Coffee. All right. What else do we have here? How does this finish up? Okay. Another example is from chapter 17, where Carr spends a ridiculous amount of time describing the type of car that Reese drives. It's not a car. And it's not a Jeep. It's a Land Cruiser, FJ62. Take a deep breath. Take a breath. Just... All right. All that is to say that Carr could easily follow in the footsteps of others in the genre if he could drop the politics, create original characters, and stop writing pages worth of descriptions of weapons. Aforementioned shortcomings aside, he's a much better writer than others in the thriller genre. Well, thank you for all the time you took into telling everyone how much you hated the book. Here we go. Not a verified purchase. Here we go. No action, too much backstory. I'm halfway through the book, and it's an editorial on current world affairs. This has been an incredible series up to this point. Thanks. Get back to what made it successful. Currently, I would not recommend following this series beyond book 3. That's just unkind. All right. Here we go. And last one. I don't like politics in my books. I use books for an escape. What do you even call a book like this? You call it a #1 New York Times bestseller. All right. That's fun. What should we do next? Oh, and if you want to counter any of those, feel free to jump on Amazon and leave a 5-star review. It is sincerely appreciated. Not just for me, but any of your authors really appreciate that. It does help a ton. And you can go and order that next book, In the Blood, as well. All right. Mountain Tough, MTN Tough. Awesome. There's a huge announcement from the crew over at Mountain Tough, MTN Tough. After 2 years in the making, behind the scenes, the Mountain Tough Plus native app is finally here for you and ready to be downloaded on all the platforms: iPhone, Android, Apple TV, Roku, and more. MTN Tough Plus is the fitness app trusted by the dedicated, trusted and used by dedicated backcountry hunters, wildlife firefighters, law enforcement officers, and U.S. military special operations forces. And now you can train on your time, your way, from your phone, tablet, TV, or web. MTN Tough Plus is an all-access subscription giving you access to all Mountain Tough programs, all new programs, and bonus content. Awesome. If you've been following me for a while, you know that I have prioritized finishing my latest novel and moving. This will probably be one of the last things I do from this studio as we move to the new house and new studio. So that is about to change. My priorities moving forward, well, I'm going to get better at scheduling these things and actually getting those workouts in, then working for about 3 or 4 hours on the novel, then jumping into the business side of thing for an hour or two. But point being, MTN Tough, Mountain Tough is the program that I am using. I've been scouring the website, checking out the app. It is absolutely awesome. And these days with so much going on, I need something that's going to tell me what to do, because I'm going to shift right from doing one thing, bam, into the workout and having it right there, ready to rock. That's exactly what I need. So thank you guys for putting this together and putting so much thought, time, energy, effort, and testing into it, because what I want to do these days is be ready for life. And yeah, I'm probably not jumping out of a plane anymore and going doing those special operations type missions. Now it is training for life and to keep up with very active kids. But this is what I'm going to use: MTN Mountain Tough. Increase mental toughness, build muscle, improve endurance anytime, anywhere, from any mobile device. Thousands of workouts are available in the MTN Tough Plus subscription. You can start today with no equipment needed to start. That's what I liked what I saw. You can have equipment or no equipment. And there are workouts for every level: beginner, intermediate, advanced, elite. Just get on there and check it out. And then more importantly, get after it. Everything you need is in one spot. From cardio to strength, Mountaintop programs are designed to be built to build the optimal athlete. Thousands of hours of testing on dedicated mountain hunters, first responders, and military personnel. Programs for everyone, those who hit the gym and the heavy weights, and those who like to work out at home with no gear at all. Stream from your TV, laptop, mobile, or tablet. Download workouts in iOS and Android, compatible with Chromecast and AirPlay. MTN Tough has been the trusted training for dedicated individuals for years now, including U.S. military special operations and dedicated backcountry hunters. There is no excuse for you not to start today, as after 2 years of research and development, the MTN Tough Plus native app is ready to download. With MTN Tough Plus, you can conquer your goals with thousands of workouts and train with equipment or just your body weight on your phone, tablet, TV, or web browser. MTN Tough is offering Danger Close listeners 20% off all new Mountain Tough Plus subscriptions with the code Danger Close. Go to mtntough.com and enter the code Danger Close to receive 20% off brand new Mountain Tough Plus subscription. That again is mtntough.com and enter the code Danger Close. So for all those people who wrote those negative reviews, now would be the time to hit the pause button or just go and watch something else, because we're going to talk about gear. And what is this, you may ask? Yes, this is a revolver. And this one right here, Beretta. Did you know that Beretta made revolvers? So my friend Rob Olive, who's the author of Essential Liberty, he saw that I posted one of the history posts that I do on Instagram, and it was about the GIGN, French Special Operations, taking over a plane. And he sent me a video from an interview with the founder of GIGN, where he's talking about why they chose the revolver to go with. So this is MR73 is what it's called. You can go to the Beretta website and go to firearms and go down to the very bottom where they talk about this. And I'm going to butcher how you say it, but MANURHIN, and made in France right here. And as a student of the gun, I think it's important that we not just understand how to use striker fire pistols, more modern pistols, but being a student, yes, of those, but also of 1911s, also of revolvers, also of shotguns, autoloaders, pumps, and just knowing how to use these different type of weapon systems in defense of yourself and your family. It just helps us all be more self-reliant and independent. And if you can get on the range with Clint Smith at Thunder Ranch and do a revolver course, I'm looking for a new in the box Smith & Wesson Thunder Ranch Edition revolver, and that one's in 45 ACP, really cool, and has a rail on it. And I've done a couple courses at Thunder Ranch with that pistol. Love it, but I borrowed it from Clint, so I think it's about time that I have my own. So just important to know how to use all different types of weapon systems. So very cool. This is awesome. So I'll be putting this through the paces here pretty soon. Maybe it'll make its way into a book. Who knows? Who knows? All right, lots of gear to talk about. All right, Dustin. Oh man, look at this. I got something, little gift here, little Christmas gift. RMJ. Look at this. That's just mean. Probably illegal in some states. But look at that. Ooh, I would not want to get hit with that. Thank you so much for sending. That's awesome. I appreciate you thinking of me. And yeah. Awesome. All right. And also, Dustin, man, this is just too cool. So Elmer Roush made this, and he's not on Instagram. I think you can find him on Facebook, but look at that. That thing is awesome. And I mean, it feels so good and looks incredible. So thank you. Hand forged, handmade. Man, this means a lot to me. This is just incredible. So, Dustin, thank you for sending. Elmer, thank you for making this, and just beyond thoughtful and incredibly cool. So, thank you so much. Whew. Amazing. All right, what else do I have here? GLG Knifeworks. What is this? It's not a knife, you say? No, it's not a knife. But what is it? It's a bookmark, and this thing is pretty sick. Love these. GLG Knifeworks has been a supporter from the very beginning. And yeah, use this as a bookmark, and you always have a little something else to use in case you need it. So, and they come in different colors too. So I have like a red one, which I put in a book when I'm traveling. So it doesn't look quite as tactical as this, but so cool. Just awesome. All right. What else is going on here? Where should I go to next? I think another blade here. So this is from James Fleming, Wasteland Forge, veteran owned knife company. And this thing, look at this. I mean, so thoughtful. Just an incredible blade. Thank you so much for sending this along. Once again, veteran owned company. And this thing is just beautiful. And thank you for the note as well that describes this blade and what it's made of and all the time, energy, and effort that went into making this. Incredibly cool. So thank you. Incredible. Once again, Wasteland Forge. And that's James Fleming, veteran, and just super cool. So thank you. All right. I'm going to go around the table here so I don't miss anything. So this was a special one. This came as a gift. So I do these history posts on social media, and I did Bruce Lee's birthday. And Bruce Lee had a philosophy called Jeet Kune Do. And before the UFC and all that, it really incorporated a bunch of different martial arts in a practical way. And Bruce Lee used to say, hey, in your studies, take on what's useful and discard what is useless. And that's what he did. So Jeet Kune Do, Filipino martial arts, I was studying all that well before I joined the military. They incorporated Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu into it as soon as that hit the United States in the early 90s. I mean, it was really here before, but people started to become more aware of it in the early 90s. And of course, as the UFC exploded, everybody knows about it now. But Jeet Kune Do was an early adopter to that and incorporated it into their system. And I posted the Tao of Jeet Kune Do on that post, but it's a paperback that I've had for 30 years. And so this right here is a commemorative limited edition, and it's look at that. That is just beyond cool. I kind of want to handle it with kid gloves because it's so awesome. So thank you so much for sending this. Means a ton to me, and that's just awesome. Whew, too cool. All right. Let's see what else around here carefully. All right. What else I have going on here? Okay. Working my way around. Look at this. Jesse D'Angelo right here. New one. Pray to God. Look at that. So, yeah, awesome. Awesome. Love his stuff, his artwork, everything he has going on. So definitely check that out. Jeff Gonzalez. So one of my Buds instructors right here has a book I think it's coming out. I don't think it's out quite yet, but he's Trident Concepts LLC. You can find him on Instagram, on the socials. And he has a concealed carry manual that is just come out. And yeah, very cool. So thank you so much for sending this. And it was cool in Buds. You could tell that he knew what he was doing in front of the class. I'd done a lot of shooting before I got there, and seeing the way he handled that SIG P226 in third phase of Buds in front of the classroom, you just knew that he was comfortable and he knew what he was doing, and he was passionate about it. Because a lot of people in the military, they just do what's necessary and that's it. But he went above and beyond, and anyway, he's following that passion today and teaching people passing on those lessons. So anyway, very cool. Jeff, thanks so much for sending. Appreciate that, man. And look at this, Sarah Carson, Super Dog Tricks. Yep. So Sarah helped train our dog, Scout, as a service dog for our middle child. So, Sarah, thank you so much for sending this. Very cool. And thank you for all your work with Scout. All right. What else is going on? Jeff Reed, Frozen Trident, man, too cool. How did you know? Look at that. How did you know what I wanted for Christmas? Look at that. Honey, I already crushed the coffee. I already crushed the popcorn with chocolate and everything else in there. That was awesome. And look at that. Very cool. So, Jeff Reed, Frozen Trident, they have a show on Ironclad, an Ironclad original show that's out that you can check out as well. Awesome guy. So, and I love what they're doing up there in Alaska. So thank you so much for sending all this. Frozen Trident Kennel, Frozen Trident on the socials. So thank you, my friend. Too cool. That's going in the coffee. Okay, look at this. What? Yeah, another iteration came out from Patriot Force, and they did a Jack Carr action figure. So very cool. And it was interesting when I posted this. Gosh, there's all these positive comments, and then one person just makes some nasty comment. And those are the ones that stand out to you. I forget what it is because you only you don't remember them for too long, but they do hit you. But anyway, this is, I think 25% of the proceeds go to the charitable foundation of the Veterans Choice, so whoever the veteran is that they're making this for. And it's a father-son team. And then the rest of it goes to, cover the costs of all this. And then what's left over goes to the son's college fund. So pretty cool. Everybody wins. Father and son get to do something really cool together, get to learn the histories of some of the conflicts that these veterans were in, the battles that they were in, that sort of a thing. They get to share that. They get to learn about business as they move forward, get to fund the son's college fund, and help out a veterans charity. So veteran-focused charity. So very cool. Awesome. What else here? And the one I chose was Rescue 22 Foundation. And Rescue 22 Foundation, they train service and support dogs for veterans suffering from the emotional and physical trauma of the battlefield. And you can go back in my Instagram and scroll down, and you can see one veteran that Rescue 22 is currently helping out right now. It's founded by a dear friend of mine, John Devine of Divine Canines. You can follow him on Instagram as well. But they are training up a service dog for Kelsey, who was a Marine who was wounded as we were leaving Afghanistan in the attack on the airfield, and she lost the use of her legs in that attack. So you can go down and check out her story. It's just scroll down on my Instagram, go to Rescue 22s, go to John Devine's. You can find the story there. And what was super cool is, so Jim from African Sporting Creations saw that, and he reached out to me and he said, "Hey, what can I do? I'd like to pay for a year's worth of dog food for the dog that you're training up for Kelsey." So Jim at African Sporting Creations, awesome. You've seen me mention that company before. In fact, Jim sent me this for Christmas. So, and I had my eye on this for a while. I'd never told you that, but I had my eye on this for a while. So this is a coffee thermos, obviously, but it's awesome. This awesome leather, and they just make some incredible stuff. So African Sporting Creations, just too cool. And Jim, thank you so much for that donation, for taking care of feeding the dog that John Devine is training up with Rescue 22 for Kelsey. So very cool. And I know you didn't want any recognition for that. So hopefully I didn't overstep right there, but yeah, it's sincerely appreciated. What else is going on? Mountain Ops. Yeah. Awesome. So I'm going to see Mountain Ops at the Western Hunt Expo, which is coming up here in February, I think on Friday, whatever that is, the Friday the 11th maybe. But I'll be at their booth at the Western Hunting Expo signing books. And they're a Utah company here, hunting focused supplement company. So super cool. I'll see you guys at the Hunt Expo. Eric Bishop, man, look at this. The Body Man. It's out. So Eric Bishop has his debut thriller right here, The Body Man. It is out. You can get it wherever books are sold, and really cool. You can follow him on Instagram as well. He's been a huge supporter from the very beginning, and I sincerely appreciate that. And I am super excited to read this debut novel. So very cool. And he sent an awesome coin along with it. So, man, thank you so much for doing that. Just congratulations. All right. What else is going on here? Bam. Wolf 21 sleep aid. What? I'm going to need to try some of this out. And so this is Mike Glover's company, and he has a Fieldcraft Survival. Awesome guy. Just super cool. We're doing a leadership seminar February 5th at Fieldcraft Survival headquarters in Heber, Utah, with me, Mike Glover, and Andy Stumpf. So that should be a great time. It's a full day event, and maybe I will see you there. You can go to Fieldcraft Survival website and find it there and sign up. But this is another one of Mike's companies, and I love what he's doing. Just everything he does, he crushes. So very cool. Thanks for sending that along. Do I look like I need more sleep? Yeah, probably. And this was sent a long time ago, but I didn't have that many followers then. And so I wanted to mention this again. And it's a handmade pipe and CooleyPipeSupply. So CooleyPipeSupply, we found each other on Instagram, and just super cool. So thank you for making that. It says the terminal list over here, it says the Devil's Hand over here, True Believer over here, Savage Sun over here, and the pipe even has the cross tomahawks on it right there. So now I need is just time to take a breath and sit in the rocking chair and try this thing out. So awesome, man. Thank you so much. What else do we have here? Haas and Paws Leather. Awesome. Sarah Haas, dear friend of mine. She has a leather company. She's a firefighter here in Utah and made this for Scout. So got the cross tomahawks right there. This is Scout here. It has an American flag right there. So awesome. You can follow them on Haas and Paws Leather. Once again, she's a firefighter and doing leather work now here in Utah. So very cool. Thank you for making this for Scout. Thank you for all you do for our family and for all our communities in here, putting it on the line when that bell goes off each and every day. So very cool. Very cool. All right. What else? The Gundys. I was nominated for my first Gundy. Have you heard of the Gundys? It's like the Oscars. But too cool. This is just awesome. So February 19th, 2022, I think you can go on and you can vote online for these in these different categories. And we met this crew out at Terran Tactical out in LA a few months back, but man, awesome. So the Gundy Awards, they're back, and it's an honor to be nominated. There's some serious people in my category too. So I'm going to say it right now. It's an honor just to be nominated. So awesome. Check them out. Follow them on the social channels, and just cool, awesome event. A lot of my friends have been to this for the last few years and have a blast. So thank you guys. Sincerely appreciate it. Toyotas of War. Yep. That is a Christmas ornament. Toyotas of War. If you're not following them online and you should follow them online regardless, but a lot of Hilux action in there from different conflict zones around the world. Great photos, great t-shirts. I love the t-shirts. And just awesome crew. So thank you. What else here? Look at this. Why am I not wearing a watch right now? Because I wanted to talk to you about Vertex. Look at that. Vertex. So I found out about these guys through Dean Stott, who was on the podcast, former SBS guy. Incredible story. Listen to the podcast. Check out his book, which I'll talk about here in a few minutes. But Vertex was a company that was founded, I think it was founded during the Second World War. But they made watches for the British military in World War II. And they have, I think it's the grandson or the great-grandson who has brought the company back and is making watches. And they have a few commemorative watches, like World War II, British military commemorative watches. And they're super cool. So they sent me this, and it's awesome. It is awesome. I love it. So check out their stuff. Great pictures and stuff on Instagram. Very inspirational. But Vertex watches, very cool. And comes with this other band. Look at that. Oh yeah. Look at that flag. So very cool. Very cool. And so thank you to Dean also for introducing me to this crew. Just great presentation. And I love the connection to history. Thank you for sending. What else do you have? Oh, Black Rifle Coffee Company. All right. If you're not getting the member of the Signature Coffee Club, check it out. BlackRifleCoffee.com. Check it out. And they have a different blend that comes every month with bags. And I think most, if not all, are designed by Chris Hunt. You can check him out online. He has a new thing called Code of the West going on. You can check that out on Instagram. Laissez-faire on Instagram is his regular one, but he does a lot of the artwork for these bags, and is just an awesome, solid dude. So Black Rifle Coffee Company, riding Poseidon. Nice. 4 banger night vision on there. If you listen to my podcast with Mark Owen, author of No Easy Day, you know that they tried to bust him for the 4 tube night vision that he showed in the book, even though it was on the manufacturer's website with all the technical specifications. Anyway, that's just the government for you, but very cool. Very cool. Awesome. Black Raffle coffee. Oh, look at this. So I took these pants off actually because I was wearing them. I do have pants on now, but off the grid. And this is my Dynamis belt here that I always wear. But off the grid pants, I love these things. I don't know which model they are, but because I tried out a bunch over this last year. Off the grid doesn't say exactly what model, but check them out. And got the stretch in there, but they're tough pants, reinforced where you carry your blade. Awesome. So off the grid. Thank you guys. That is awesome. Look at that new bottle. Yep. Alpine Distillery here in Utah, well, in Park City, actually. So Lafayette right here. And awesome. Lafayette Bourbon. And I've been using this for the last, I don't know, month or so, making old fashions. And it's awesome. I love using this for old fashions. I put it on the rocks the other night as I was watching the first 3 episodes of the Terminal List, which are coming. Can't tell you when it's coming, but they should announce that soon. But up to this point, I'd watched them on my computer as I'm doing my edits. Well, not really edits. It's my notes, and then it goes to the editors from there. So I've seen all the episodes. So I'm so fired up. It's awesome. Chris Pratt crushes. Everybody in it crushes. But I'd been watching it on my computer as I do these timestamps because you pause it, look at the timestamp, make the note, that sort of a thing. But I put it on the big screen for the first time the other night. And it's even better than I expected. So it's you got to watch it on the big screen. So when it comes out, oh, why was I talking about that? Because as I watched it, I was pouring this on the rocks. So when you get it, definitely when it comes out, watch it on the big screen, good sound, and it's a totally different viewing experience than it is on your computer or your phone or something like that. Don't watch it on your phone. Watch it on the biggest screen that you possibly can with the best sound. That'll be the best way to go about it. So very cool. Before I get to these books, Unplug Typewriter Company. Megan, thank you. Check this out right here. So Smith Corona Clipper. And Megan takes these old typewriters and she restores them, and they're just awesome. So I have a few. I've talked about them before, but I'm looking for those old typewriters that maybe could have come across the beach, Iwo Jima or Normandy. It's a property of U.S. Army, property of U.S. Marine Corps, that sort of a thing. But this thing is super cool right here. This is from 1947, so it's not a World War II era, but it's right afterward, obviously. And this thing is just awesome. So Megan, thank you so much. Incredible job as always. And I'm going to read a tiny bit about that. So it's named after the Boeing Clipper. So that's pretty cool. Pan Am's Clipper fleet pressed into U.S. military service during World War II. Flying boats were used for ferrying personnel and equipment to the European and Pacific fronts. So it has a World War II connection because that typewriter was named after the Clipper. So very cool. So Megan, thank you again. Just awesome. All right. I think that was all the gear. All right. So time to move on. And what are we moving on to? Moving on to all the authors that were on the Danger Close podcast this year. So it was an awesome year. 2021 launched the podcast. I had some recordings even from 2019 that I'd recorded back when I still thought that, hey, you just record and then you upload it and that's all there is to it. Well, there's a little more to it than that. But the part that I'm interested in is pressing record, having the conversation, and then that's it. So Ironclad takes it from there now and launched the podcast last year. And it's been amazing. Got to meet some incredible people. And I'm talking to a lot of people anyway. And I always, as I'm talking to these people, I'm thinking, man, I wish I could share these conversations. And that's really why I started doing it. And also because I get a lot of questions on social media. And a lot of those questions don't really lend themselves to a one sentence answer because, as we know, going back and forth on essentially a text message on or on Instagram or on, I guess, Facebook or Twitter, is not the best way to go about communicating, and certainly does not lend itself to a constructive conversation, thoughtful conversation. So that's why that's why I wanted to start the podcast, so I could have some just conversations where you're not, and maybe discuss some issues that are a little more contentious that don't really lend themselves to discussion on Instagram. So, yeah, who was my first guest? Well, that was Katie Pavlich. So, dear friend, Katie Pavlich, first guest. This book right here, Fast and Furious, Barack Obama's Bloodiest Scandal and Its Shameless Cover-Up. If you haven't read this book, especially with everything that's going on, well, in government today and at the border today, you should 100% pick this up. Cover is awesome. I love this cover. Whoever did that did an incredible job. But Katie was my first guest, and you can go back and find that and check it out. Danger Close podcast. It's on Spotify, it's on Apple Podcasts, and it's on my YouTube channel. So just put Jack Carr YouTube channel. It'll pop up. Put Jack Carr, Katie Pavlich, and that episode will pop right up. So, yep. Katie, thank you for being my first guest. Amazing. And everybody else, if you don't have this book, get it now. Okay. Next guest, and they might not be all in order of guests because some guests didn't have books. So I might say next guest, but it might not actually be the next guest. But in this case, I think it is Clint Smith, Thunder Ranch. Clint's been a dear friend for so many years. His wife, Heidi, amazing people. And if you haven't been out to Thunder Ranch to train, then get out there. Make this your year. Clint has a few different books out there. This is Urban Rifle 2 right here. And if you haven't listened to our podcast, definitely check it out. I think when you look at the analytics, it's one of the most popular ones. So if you haven't listened to Clint on Instagram, then definitely follow Thunder Ranch Inc. and you'll get some Clint-isms because he certainly has a unique way of conveying information and you won't forget. So Urban Rifle 2, Thunder Ranch Inc. Go check them out. Fred Burton, man. So Ghost, this is awesome. So this is about his time as a counterterrorism agent with the State Department, the Office of Diplomatic Security, and amazing guy. Thank you so much, Fred, for coming on the podcast. Just too cool. And I don't have Beirut Rules here right now because I had to send it to the set of the terminal list. So it's, I don't know if it's going to make it because you never know if someone's going to make it in or not, or if it's going to get edited out and all that. So, but anyway, I don't have that one on me right now, but it's coming back from the set. I think it's on its way actually right now. So very cool. Ghost. Check out all Fred Burton stuff. Amazing guy. Incredible. Dana Lash, man, Flyover Nation. And she has another one, Grace Canceled. And that one is definitely check out Grace Canceled. Check them all out. She has multiple books out there. Grace Canceled is important for what we're dealing with right now because we seem to have lost that in discourse with one another. And that is just perpetuated by social media companies because they know what sells, or they know that division gets those clicks. And now they know that they can actually alter behaviors based on all the data that they have. But anyway, Dana is an amazing person. And they always say the top 10, or she's the top female. They always put that in there. But you know what? She's just the top. She's in the top 10 for her show all the time. I think she's the only female in the top 10. But so she's in the top 10. They always throw that female in there, but she just crushes everyone. And she's in the top 10 all the time. So if you're not listening to her show, check it out. Get her books. They have a children's, I'll do it in the next gear review, but they have a children's book out now. So definitely check that out as well. So Dana, thanks for coming on, and thank you for always standing up for freedom. All right, Leif Babin came on next, man. So him and Jocko, they wrote these books. They wrote Extreme Ownership, and they wrote The Dichotomy of Leadership. And Leif came on the podcast. We talked about all this. We talked about his time in the SEAL teams, and yeah, great guy. Echelon Front is the company that they have together where they pass on those leadership lessons from the SEAL teams, in particular from their time in Ramadi at the height of the war. So Leif, thanks for coming on, and thank you for stepping up in service to this nation. So bam. I don't know anybody who has not read these books. If you go look at the New York Times list, they're always on there. So congratulations. Incredible. Clint Emerson, 100 Deadly Skills. So he has a podcast. Can you survive this podcast? Just awesome guy. I think they've announced that, well, maybe they haven't announced it, so I'm going to not say it. But anyway, 100 Deadly Skills, Combat Edition. And he has a bunch of different books, playing cards that have these different crazy things on there that you can do that help as far as your tactics, your training. And he's just a cool guy. So as I'm writing my books, I'm always like, hey, what would Clint Emerson do in this situation? Bam, right there. Thanks, buddy. All right, Chris Ryan. So this is my original book here, the one that got away. And this, I read this, when it came out. So I was a brand new guy in my first platoon and I took notes. We talk about that on the podcast. And Chris Ryan was part of Bravo 20, his SAS unit that had to go on escape and evasion in the first Gulf War. And he ran to Syria. And I would think about that as we were going over E&E plans when I was in Iraq and Afghanistan. And I thought, you know what? My E&E plan is probably going to be my getaway sticks, meaning my legs, and I'm going to be running somewhere. So Chris Ryan, it was such an honor to talk to him about this, and check out that podcast. It's definitely eye-opening. And he has a lot of other books out there too. He's done so much stuff. It's incredible. Definitely check him out. This was his latest, Manhunter, right here. So this is a thriller, obviously, but he has a bunch of books out there and just a super solid guy. So check out that podcast with Chris Ryan. Okay, here we go. Stephen Pressfield. Stephen Pressfield, man, incredible. Author of Gates of Fire, of course. Most everyone has read this. His latest, A Man at Arms, right here, that came out. Incredible. Everything he does is amazing. He also wrote The Legend of Bagger Vance, Afghan campaign. I know I've talked about those. They've been on past reading lists before. And he has a series of books on creativity. And I'd say on creativity and leadership. But it's called The War of Art. And it's about, really, it's just about doing the work. And he's another one of the in this series called Do the Work. Another one's called The Authentic Swing. I'd start with this one. If you're not going to buy them all at once and you're just going to get one, I'd start with this one and then you'll get all the others after that anyway. So The War of Art, amazing. It's about sitting down, doing the work, battling resistance, because there's a lot of things out there that are going to try to keep you from doing that work. And you just got to sit down and do it. So Stephen, thank you so much for all you've done for me and for all you've done for artists in general by putting all these lessons down in this series of books on creativity. Boom. What's next? The Dragons and the Snakes, David Kilcullen. This is another one where I would have The Accidental Gorilla here also, but that also went out to the set of the terminal list. So keep your eye peeled for that. But David Kilcullen, awesome guy. The Dragons and the Snakes, used this for research on my last novel. And David's just an incredible guy. Former Army officer from Australia and came over here, and he was Condoleezza Rice's counterinsurgency advisor. He was David Petraeus's counterinsurgency advisor for the surge in Iraq. Just brilliant guy. So check out that podcast as well. Man, how cool. Sebastian Junger came on the podcast. I mean, incredible. His latest book is Freedom, and that is out now. So we discuss this, and we had a great time. You can tell those are my notes right there. But I mean, how cool is it that the author of The Perfect Storm, Restrepo is his documentary on Afghanistan, nominated for an Academy Award, and just such a cool guy. A lot of people know about this book, Tribe, which is incredible. Of course, Fire and War, but amazing guy, great conversation with him. And I'm looking forward to his next work. This was cool. Danny Trejo. What? Machete? Yeah, he came on the podcast. That was awesome. My Life of Crime, Redemption, and Hollywood, with Donald Logue, who also came on the podcast, who is an incredible actor. If you don't know his name, when you see his face, you'll be like, I know that guy, because he has been in so many different things. But this book is incredible. This is open. This is honest. And just super cool. So Danny Trejo, thank you for, and Donald, thank you guys both for putting this together and crushing it. So, and for taking the time to come on the podcast. I really appreciate you both doing that. So check it out. Trejo, My Life of Crime, Redemption in Hollywood. And if you haven't been to Trejo's Tacos in LA, definitely do it. It's awesome. I stopped by the last time I was in LA and yeah, crushed a few tacos. Awesome. Brad Thor came on next. So Brad cracked the door to publishing for me. I'll never be able to thank him enough for doing that. We talk about that on the podcast as well. This is his latest, Black Ice, and just such a super guy. So Brad, thanks for all you've done for me and my family, for cracking that door and for continuing to knock it out of the park. All right, I'm gonna take a little sip of Black Raffle coffee. Awesome. Okay, this one was really special. So David Morrell, of course, created Rambo back in 1972 with First Blood, a book that has not been out of print since. In the book, his name is just Rambo. He got the John from Hollywood. So First Blood, if you haven't read the book, it's very different than the film. And I won't spoil it, although I feel like if it came out in 1972, I shouldn't have to say spoiler alert. But anyway, it's so different than the movie, which is fantastic as well with Sylvester Stallone, obviously. But they're both so different that that you can read one and watch the film and enjoy them both because they're both so good. And this original artwork right here, man, Evan Hafer got the original print. He beat me to it, man. And it's super cool. It's a Black Raffle coffee. But yeah, awesome right here. And then for me, Brotherhood of the Rose right here, such a formative novel. For me, it was the first time I saw Navy SEALs in a thriller, although it was done in Raise the Titanic by Clive Cussler earlier, but I read it after I read Brotherhood of the Rose. And this confirmed to me, even back then, even in the mid 80s when I read this, that I was on the right path because of the sentence that David Morrell uses in here to describe SEALs. So very cool. And David's become a friend over the last few years. An incredible guy. What a story. And one of the best that's ever done it. So David, thanks for coming on the podcast. Thanks for sharing these lessons. And we're going to do it again sometime for sure. All right. What's next? Mike Waltz, Congressman type, and former Army Special Forces. And this book is incredible. Warrior Diplomat, right here. I just wish more people would read this book. So he worked at the highest levels of government, but he also was Army Special Forces and went downrange. So he saw strategic level decision-making and he saw tactical level decision-making. And he saw the gap between the two, which is something I explore in my novels as well, and something that's existed since the beginning of time. But he got to work at both levels essentially at the same time, not Army Special Forces Green Beret first, and then years later working in government. No, it was at the same time. He'd deploy, come home, work at that strategic level, deploy again, come back, work at that strategic level. So Warrior Diplomat, and all the proceeds go to a veteran-focused foundation here as well. So he's on the front lines. Again, politics is something that doesn't really agree with me. If you've read the novels, that should be readily apparent. But I respect everybody that gets in that ring, especially today where everyone has a chance to take shots at you on social media. So yeah, especially in a tough time in our country. But interestingly enough, when I think about how tough a time we're having as a nation right now, trying to find common ground, trying to come together, I think about after the Civil War and how we did come back together after that. That's one of the only things that gives me hope is that we did it then. But then I also think, hey, what if we had had social media in the 1860s? Would we have reconciled as a country and moved forward? I don't know. It's an interesting question to think about, though. All right, AJ Tata, Tony Tata, Brigadier General type, awesome guy. Always love talking to him. Always so positive and so knowledgeable, having worked at all these different levels in the United States military. But Chasing the Lion, this is his latest, and super cool guy. So I always have a great conversation with him. So Tony Tata, thanks for coming on, my friend. Outlaw Platoon, Sean Parnell. So this right here, gosh, the way that that Sean describes his first day in Afghanistan is probably one of the most powerful chapters that I've read on modern warfare over the past 20 years. So Outlaw Platoon, it's an incredible read, but it's really college kid, does all the Army basic stuff, jumps in after 9/11, finds himself downrange in Afghanistan as a leader, and day one on the job. It's and they get extended. Like it's an incredible story. So if you want to understand Afghanistan from a veteran's perspective, from a tactical level perspective, Outlaw Platoon. There it is. All right. Yeah, this series of books, Ayan Hirsi Ali, what an incredible life story. I really appreciate her taking the time to come on, but born in Somalia, I mean, incredible, this upbringing that would just blow your mind, makes it to the Netherlands, seeks asylum, runs for parliament, and it makes a film about Islam that might not have been too flattering, with Theo Van Gogh. And Theo Van Gogh was then almost essentially beheaded, stabbed to death. And the assassin the murderer used he used a kitchen knife, butcher knife, but he stabbed a letter into Theo Van Gogh's heart. And that letter was addressed to Ayan Hirsi Ali. I mean, it's powerful. But for not following her podcasts or following her on Twitter, just a brilliant person. So for her to take the time to come on the podcast, I sincerely appreciate that. To talk to her for forever. Mark Graney, relentless man. What a great guy. Author of the Gray Man series, and the Gray Man is coming to Netflix this summer. And it's so cool. So I think it's this summer anyway. I think they announced that. But what a great guy. Incredible series. Court Gentry is his protagonist. He has another book coming out here soon. I think he's coming back on the podcast. So Mark's just a great guy, super supportive, and has been doing this a while. He wrote the Tom Clancy novels, some, I forget how many, I think 3 with Tom Clancy, and then a few without Tom Clancy after Tom Clancy's passing. But Mark's just awesome. So Mark, thanks for all your support, my friend. Sincerely appreciate it. All right. Bravo 20, Andy McNabb. He came on. He still hides his face, so just put a little thing up in the corner of the screen on this podcast. But once again, Bravo 20. What there weren't that many books about modern warfare out when this one came out, and we had a great conversation, and I sincerely appreciate him coming on, taking the time to do this. And it's just so wild to be talking to these guys who I read growing up, essentially. And yeah, as a brand new guy in the SEAL teams, I was reading this, I was taking notes, and I get to talk to him. So incredible. So check out that podcast as well. Enemy at the Gates. Here we go. Kyle Mills, who took over from Vince Flynn after Vince Flynn's passing, and Enemy at the Gates is his latest. And I always enjoy talking to Kyle Mills. He has great stories. He does a fantastic job keeping Mitch Rapp alive. And Mitch Rapp is, of course, Vince Flynn's character. And the one before this was Total Power. But Kyle Mills does a fantastic job keeping Mitch Rapp alive. Mitch Rapp lives. So awesome. What else is going on here? Hidden War, John Norris. So he worked for over 20 years in California fishing game, and he was a special operations game warden. So they were going into these grows, cartel grows up in Northern California, all of California, really. But check this out. It's really interesting, really eye-opening how a lot of the, if you're doing an illegal grow, how the cartels use these pesticides and fertilizers and stuff that just go right into the streams and kill all the salmon, fish, wildlife. Different wildlife comes and eats those and they die. Anyway, it's a lot more than just, hey, we don't want you growing marijuana. It's a lot more than that. And he captures that in Hidden War. So check out what he's got going on. You can check him out on social channels as well. All right. Moving along. Look at this one. Oh, this one was interesting. So Chris Wallace, of course, he just left Fox News Sunday. Countdown Bin Laden is the book. And he got to talk to a bunch of different people at different levels. And he does this countdown thing where it takes you from a certain amount of time and then it gets closer and closer and closer until Bin Laden is killed. And because I had so many friends on that mission, I was really interested to read this. People were not happy that I had Chris Wallace on. People did text me and say they listened to it and loved it, but a lot of the vocal people on social media did not like that I had Chris Wallace on. We didn't really talk about I think we mentioned the debate, and he wishes the one that everyone got all upset over. And hey, I totally get it. And he gets it too, I think, with the way he answers a question. You'd have to listen to the podcast. He brought it up. I think I just brought up presidential debates in general. And then I think he kind of smiles and said he wished he'd never done that other one that pissed everybody off. But I totally get it. But aside from that, Countdown Bin Laden was very interesting read, and I love what they do with the Countdown series. The other one about Hiroshima in World War II is really good as well. So appreciate him taking the time to come on. And not always going to have people on that I 100% agree with. That's just kind of how it goes. All right, Brad Taylor. Operator Downs. This is a few books back. We're in the middle of a big move, so I'm going through boxes trying to get all this stuff. But Brad Taylor and I talked at BoucherCon back in 2019, and former Army Special Operations officer, super nice guy. He has a series of thrillers with Pike Logan, and it was very cool to have him on the podcast as well. So Brad, thank you so much for coming on. Outside Man, Don Bentley. Man, this podcast, I might get more comments on this podcast than any other, because we get pretty deep in this one. So definitely check it out. Don Bentley, former Apache helicopter pilot. This is his second book, Outside Man. First one was Without Sanction. And he's also writing the Tom Clancy, John Ryan Jr. series now. But amazing guy. We get pretty deep on the podcast. He flew in on Operation Red Wings in Afghanistan. Of course, the book Lone Survivor, the movie Lone Survivor, come out of that. Marcus Luttrell's experience there. But he flew on that mission, and it's obviously impacted how it would impact anyone. But we get pretty personal about it in the podcast. So go ahead and check that out. Don, thank you for sharing that experience with me on that podcast, and keep crushing, my friend. All right. The Afghanistan Papers, Craig Whitlock, 100% get this book right now. Yes, those are my notes from the podcast that I did with Craig. So this is so fascinating. It's Washington Post journalist, and through Freedom of Information Act requests, through 2 lawsuits against the federal government, they were able to uncover a series of interviews that were done throughout the war. And those interviews captured what these senior level leaders were saying privately, because they thought this stuff would remain classified, and then juxtaposes that with what they were saying to Congress, to the American people, to their troops. And it was 180 out. You can play all these different generals getting in front of Congress for the last 20 years, and you can play 2002, 2005, 2009, 2015. They all sound almost exactly the same, except for one, and he got fired. But that's all in the book here. But they say, hey, we're making progress. Just need some more funding, more troops, whatever they're asking for. But what they're saying behind closed doors, different story. So if you want a clue into the inner workings of the military political establishment, I should say, Afghanistan Papers, 100%. Every American needs to read this book, especially with how we rushed to our death in Afghanistan, with all the 20 years that we had to study, all the 20 years before that we had to study as well. But to race and rush to the finish like we did, this will be eye-opening. All right. The Recruiter, Douglas London. So CIA inner workings. And this is pretty cool because he had half of his time at the agency was before September 11th, and half the time at the agency was after September 11th. So he got to see this morph, and it's fascinating. We had a great conversation. This is the book, and super cool conversation. So check that podcast out. Mark Billy Billingham, man. This show, if you haven't seen it, is SAS Who Dares Wins. I think they're bringing it to the United States, but it has crushed it around the world. And these SAS guys get together. They do these they take different people and they put them through this training, and they do a great job with it. But so this is the autobiography right here. The Hard Way: Adapt, Survive, and Win. And then right here, this is the thriller right here, Call to Kill. The Enemy is Everywhere. So had a great conversation with Billy. It was awesome. Hope he'll come on again, and if we can meet up in person soon as well. So very cool. Check out that podcast. There he is, Mark Billy Billingham. Look at that. Man, you guys are hard. Love it. Oh man. So James Yeager. So this is not a book by James Yeager, but that's him on the cover. And he has Tactical Response out in Tennessee. And if you just look at his presence online, you don't really know the real guy, because he's got a heart. He has got a heart on him. And and recently he announced some health issues on about a 10-minute YouTube video. So you can go and check that out. He asks not to pray for him or send good thoughts his way, but you know what? Send a few prayers his way, send some good thoughts his way. And on the podcast, when we do the podcast, it gets pretty personal. It's audio only because I've lost the card. I've lost the video card. So it's around here somewhere and I need to find it. So when I find that video card, I'll re-release it. But right now it's just audio, but definitely check it out. He talks about his time as a police officer, his time as a contractor on Route Irish in Iraq, and an ambush that he was involved in there, and takes ownership of some things that happened, but very personal conversation. So once again, James Yeager, check out that podcast. Simon Gervais, man, awesome. Check out this podcast. I got to learn, I know Simon. Simon is awesome. And I learned some things about him on this podcast that I didn't know just through our friendship. So that's another great part about doing the podcast, is that you get to ask some questions that maybe you wouldn't normally, or it forces you to sit down for an hour or so and have a conversation uninterrupted, cell phones turned off, that sort of a thing. But The Last Protector is his latest. Great guy from Canada, did some really interesting things in government and intelligence circles, but listen to the podcast and check it out. But Simon Gervais, awesome. And they announced that he announces it on the podcast, but he is writing for the Robert Ludlum estate now as well, which has got to be a huge honor. So Simon, thanks, man. Jocko Willink. Yep. So Jocko put me through 2 of my 7 pre-deployment workups. And you're probably listening to the Jocko podcast, you're following him online, you're looking at that 3:30 on his watch every morning as he gets up to crush it. But he had his first novel come out. And it's called Final Spin. Had Jocko on the podcast. We talk about this. We talk about leadership. Obviously he has this: leadership, strategy, and tactics. And this is really cool as well. If you don't have this, Discipline Equals Freedom Field Manual, definitely get this. Really cool also for, I think, kids in like 5th grade through 8th grade, high school, college, and then anyone else. But if you hit him early enough, and he has a series of children's books also, so that's a little earlier, but I think right around 5th, 6th, 7th grade, this would be awesome. Get kids on the path. And Jocko, thanks for coming on and doing the podcast, and for doing all you do for all of us. All right. This was cool. Peter Bergen, man. Peter Bergen, national security analyst, journalist, documentary filmmaker. But he has written numerous books on bin Laden. He interviewed Osama bin Laden in person. And this is called The Rise and Fall of Osama bin Laden. And we talk about this. We talk about him meeting with bin Laden and what that was like. And just had a great conversation with him. So if you haven't read The Rise and Fall of Osama bin Laden, especially this year, read it in conjunction with the Afghanistan papers. I think that's a good companion read this year, especially with everything going on. And you'll notice that Afghanistan is not in the news very much. Wonder why that is. But don't forget those last 20 years. That's what we owe the people that sacrificed their lives, sacrificed limbs, came home to deal with the emotional trauma of the battlefield as well. Well, what do we owe them? We owe them a study of these last 20 years, study the past, turn this experience in Afghanistan into wisdom moving forward. Are we bright enough to do that? I don't know. I try to remain hopeful, but it's tough sometimes. But read the book. All right. Kyle Lamb. Yep. Viking Tactics. Kyle, amazing in the Battle Mogadishu. Leadership in the Shadows is one of his books. Stay in the Fight, Combat Pistol. And then this one, pretty cool, Green Eyes and Black Rifles. Super cool. Kyle is an amazing guy. Follow him on the social channels, and we're going to have him. I think he's coming back on the podcast soon. So I'm looking forward to that as well. We always have a great time together. We did a Veterans React for Black Rifle Coffee at SHOT Show in 2020. Yeah, last time that everybody was all together, really, without COVID. Yeah, we had a great podcast, and we're going to do another one. Just a great guy. Dean Stott. Man, look at this. You see that? Relentless. So crazy. So Dean's journey from the Special Boat Service to intrepid adventurer is truly inspirational. By Sir Ralph Fiennes said that. But SBS to world record breaker. And he rode a bike. So he has a crazy story in the SBS, Special Boat Service. That's like their version of SEALs over there. But awesome guy, super humble. He rode a bike from the southern tip of South America all the way out to the most northern point in Alaska. And he broke the world record doing it. He didn't just break it. He shattered it. Yeah, insanity. So I think he has another adventure on the book. We talk a little bit about that at the end of the podcast. And I'm looking forward to following him on that journey and anything else that he has going on as well. So Dean, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Truly an honor to talk to you. And everybody, get the book. Relentless. Man, love it. Love it. Toby Harnden. Look at this. Man, I need some more room for the books here. Untold Story of the CIA Mission to Avenge 9/11. So we've all, remember the pictures. We remember where we were on September 11th. Most of us anyway. I shouldn't say most of us because it's been a while. So, and those kids who were just being born then don't remember it, obviously. So they in particular should get this book. We had a great conversation. We talk about his time as a journalist. We talk about Northern Ireland, talk about Africa, talk about the greater Middle East in general, and specifically about Afghanistan. So this is another one to read this year. So I'd say I'm going to add to the three you should read this year: the Afghanistan Papers, the Rise and Fall of Osama bin Laden, and hit First Casualty as well. Those three will go very well together. All right. Move this out of the way for a second. Just a couple more. Brad Leone, man, look at this. He's got a cookbook out now. He has two shows on the Bon Appetit channel on YouTube. So check that out. What a great guy. We met at the SIG Hunter Games in Wyoming this last year and had a great time together and had a great conversation on the podcast as well. So Brad, love what you're doing. Keep crushing. All right. Who else did I have on? Look at this guy, Chad Prather. Chad Prather show. Hilarious, by the way. This guy is funny, and he is running for governor of Texas. Has a great show on the Glenn Beck Network. And yeah, so check out the show. Check out the book. A lot of common sense. And what does Glenn Beck say? He says, Chad is a verbal cannon with common sense. I think that about sums it up. And how cool is this? Oliver North. Man, to have Oliver North come on the podcast was a true honor. I get a lot of feedback on this podcast as well. But I remember, of course, that summer watching him testify before Congress, even if I wasn't quite sure what was going on because I was so young at the time. I had a general understanding of what was happening, but seeing him up there, the way he handled himself, those of us that lived through the Iran-Contra and those hearings, we'll remember seeing him up there testifying before Congress. But incredible life story. And when I went back to this book in preparation for the podcast, because I hadn't read it since it came out. The first part where he talks about his experience in Vietnam, it's some of the best writing on Vietnam that I've ever read. So this isn't just about the Iran-Contra. This is about a lot more than that. And it's very interesting to go back now, all these years later, and reread this. So we had a great time talking about this in his latest book, Didn't Fight for Socialism. That I gave to my daughter, which is why I don't have it here. It's in her room somewhere. But that's a good one for the kids also, for that 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, for that high school years, for those kids that are finding themselves, that are getting bombarded each and every day on social channels and from everywhere else, with maybe some influences that might not be rooted in a solid foundation of freedom. I think that's probably a very kind way to put it. But so get that new book, gift it as much as you possibly can, and check out the podcast with Oliver North. And thank you, sir, for coming on. Here we go. Killing for Profit right here. Julian Rademeyer right here. This was extremely interesting because I did go to Africa and help train up an anti-poaching unit there in preparation for both the second book and the third book as well. And I learned so much from being over there. And where I went, the anti-poaching unit was specifically focused on protecting some of the last rhino on Earth. So check out this, Killing for Profit. And we had a great podcast, great conversation, and hope to meet up with him next time I'm down in South Africa. All right. The comfort crisis. Yeah. I mean, this is something I thought about for pretty much my entire life. But really, Michael Easter here, he works in the journalism department in University of Las Vegas, University of Nevada, Las Vegas. And we had a great conversation, but it's really embrace discomfort to reclaim your wild, happy self. Have my notes right here. So yeah, we are getting very comfortable as a society, often I think to the detriment of our progress. So Comfort Crisis, Michael Easter, thank you so much for writing it, and check out the podcast. We had a great conversation. And how did I finish up the year? Well, I guess this is how I started 2022, but we recorded it in 2021, launched it in 2022, and had a conversation with my dear friend, Mark Owen, former Navy SEAL, author of No Easy Day and No Hero. Did a 4-part podcast special event, and it's getting incredible feedback. Most people say each one gets better and better, but I sincerely appreciate Mark coming on and being so open and honest. We talk about, of course, we talk about the raid to capture, kill Osama bin Laden. We talk about the Captain Phillips rescue. We talk about the hunt for Bo Bergdahl in Afghanistan. We talk about Mark's upbringing in Alaska. We talk about his early days in the SEAL teams where we met, and the aftermath. And that's what you haven't heard before. If you've got little snippets of the rest of it through these books, and maybe the one interview or the 2 interviews he did with 60 Minutes. Well, in that 4th episode, we talk about things that he's never talked about anywhere before. And I sincerely appreciate him trusting me with that. So check it out. It's called The Head of the Snake, Killing Osama bin Laden, and parts 1, 2, 3, and 4, and they are all out now. And as we talk about on the podcast, No Easy Day, the government gets all the proceeds from this. So I'm sure they're spending it wisely. But he does get the proceeds from this, No Hero. So library, purchase it somewhere, wherever you get your books. So this helps him. No Hero purchases help him. No Easy Day purchases do not. But check out the podcast, and he'll explain all of that on there. And he also had some breaking news on there. Maybe a 3rd book in the works. And what's the title? No Easy Way. Love it. So, bam, that is essentially a season 1 of all the authors that have been on the Danger Close podcast. So what's coming up ahead here? Well, by the time this drops, I think the interview or conversation with Stephen Hunter will have dropped, and got a great lineup coming in 2022. So thank you so much to everybody who has supported the podcast, and from the very, very outset, who's told friends about it, who has left a rating and review, because that is a huge deal, and who has subscribed to the podcast as well. Another huge deal. You can subscribe on Spotify. You can subscribe on Apple Podcasts. You can subscribe to the Jack Carr YouTube channel. So if you do that, I sincerely appreciate it. And I am looking forward to an incredible 2022. So thanks for everything. Take care. Be strong. Stay safe out there. Keep fighting.